back to another video. We're super pumped for y'all to be here. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed so far. All of our videos are going to be separated into different categories. Like we said earlier, we'll have videos on writing, on music, on us, like creative challenges. So this is a video, obviously in the writing category, and we'll get to more stuff like that later on.
So today we're going to be talking about plots, like how we got to the plot that we're using, what coming up with plot looks like, and just all of that fun stuff. Today we just kind of want to start where we started in this writing process.
So we started coming up with the ideas for the show at a Starbucks, like we said in our introductory video. The idea for that just came from us talking about our previous experiences, how we'd both written stories and music in the past, but we'd never combined both of those skills. We've also worked together so much in the past that it just kind of felt natural. There were kind of two issues also of representation that we wanted to address. For me as a musical theater actor, never having really been in a show that I felt like I could connect with as a Black woman living in the United States.
The other thing that Natalie and I realized when looking at different shows was that whenever people try to write about our generation, it's always from the outside looking in. We wanted to bring a story about Gen Z from experience rather than observation, so that we can feel like we have a story that truly represents who we are and the diversity of our generation.
So a big thing for us in the story is that we really didn't want social media to take over the entire telling of the story. We wanted to tell a story kind of outside of that sphere, telling a story about real human experiences, and to also make it more transgenerational, so that it didn't feel completely dated by 2019.
So speaking of that, there were a few things that we knew from the start we wanted our show to reflect. So the first thing is that we always knew we wanted to have a female lead because there aren't as many female leads in Broadway shows. We also wanted the show to be a commentary on the modern day and to reflect our experiences in the present. There are also a few themes we wanted to cover. The first one is this idea of perfectionism and obsession. That's something that we felt a lot of our generation struggles with, especially because of social media and being online all the time. We want to be perfect. We want to have the best grades, look the best, be the best version of ourselves all the time, even if that's not possible. We also wanted to investigate relationships between people, between families and friends, and how far we're willing to go to protect the ones we love.
After we came up with those themes, and we started brainstorming. So we spent about 2 weeks just texting back and forth random ideas to each other. Now, a big thing in writing is write what you know. It's write about where you've been, what you've experienced, and so for us the obvious answer was to turn to our experiences as artists. For writing our initial plots, we used the names of the characters from Mamma Mia, because what else would we do? So our initial plot centered around Sophie, who was a concert pianist whose sister went to Juilliard when she suddenly disappeared. And then Sophie went to New York to perform in an international piano competition. Chaos ensues. And after going through that plot for a little while, we realized that this wasn't something that we felt like was really representative of all that we wanted it to represent.
We went through a few drafts of our plot before we got to its final version, which we talked a little bit more about in the intro video, so check that out if you haven't.
From there, we did what we called a plot planning document. We went through and we planned out every single scene in the show and exactly what that scene needed to accomplish, if there was a song in that scene, what that song needed to accomplish.
We spent a really long time on it because it was like our constant point of reference when we were writing the show. We would always go back and see what our original vision was.
There's a really big tendency to want to edit yourself as you're writing, so for us to be able to say, no, we had this idea, we're going to stick with this idea and see how it pans out, ended up being super helpful and really expediting the whole process.
So one of the first things that we kind of turned to in this plot writing process was this idea of a plot circle, which is a common thing that you might run into if you're writing a longer form story like a novel or a play or a movie even. You start out in the normal world, and then there are these incidents that happen that push your plot forward and push your main character into different situations that they have to resolve. Because if you look at like most long form stories, so like a novel, a movie, a play, a musical, you're going to have the plot follow this basic general pattern because it's what people expect. And so we used it as a guide to see if we were on the right track when we were writing. Like, is this inciting incident happening at the right time, or are we doing it too late or too early?
We watched a lot of videos by like famous composers, so like Arns and Flaherty, Janine Tesori and Lisa Crone, Sondheim. So there's a ton of really great resources. And then also for books, Secret Life of the American Musical by Jack Viertel.
Writing Fiction by Janet Burroway. We'll also link a few other resources that we didn't talk about down below, so check those out if you're interested.
So from there, we had our 22-page plot planning document. We had everything that we needed. We began to write the script, and we will get into that in another video. So you'll have to come back and subscribe if you want to watch that. But one more thing that we wanted to cover is the title of this video, which is Why We Tell the Story. So for those of you who don't know, Why We Tell the Story is the title of the closing song from Once on This Island, which is a fantastic musical that's all about telling stories and living in our experiences. And so we wanted to talk to you a little bit about why we felt the need to tell this story at this time.
So one of the things that Natalie and I have talked a lot about is representation on Broadway.
Just to be frank, there's not a lot of representation of people of color or of women in creative roles on Broadway.
In the 2016-17 season on Broadway, 95% of all plays were written and directed by white people.
Out of 37 shows on Broadway in the 2019-2020 season, only 4 were written by artists of color, and only 1 was written by a female-identifying artist. 33 principal creative and/or design teams featured 2 artists of color or less. Out of 37 shows, 8 of them cast no artists of color at all.
White artists have made up 95.3% of all Tony nominees since the awards began in 1947.
And if we want to get into the Tonys and gender, then it's important to note that since the Tony Awards started in 1947, only 5 of the 70 Best Play winners have been written by women, and only 3 were written solely by women. The first show to win with an all-female writing team was in 2015 with Janine Tesori and Lisa Crone's Fun Hope.
What we're trying to get at is, as underrepresented groups in theater, we really don't have that many people to look up to or to kind of point at and say, oh look, someone like me has succeeded in this space before. And so something we really want to do is kind of open the space up to other creators who are like us and kind of build a pathway for other people to succeed, even if we ourselves don't.
These spaces need to be opened, and that one of the ways that those spaces can be opened is just by having more content being publicized that is by people from those groups.
We'll put links to all the sources we referenced again in the description, just if you guys want to get more informed on some of these statistics, because it is really astounding to look at and realize how dominated these industries have been by white males basically for their entire histories.
We hope that you guys found this video somewhat interesting as to why we got into writing this story, how we got into it, and you can look forward to more videos from us in the future. So again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.
Bye.